What's going on, y'all? KM Best here. In my most recent video on War Machine, I made the bold claim that I think Cannonball is a little bit better of a card than War Machine is right now. So I took a Cannonball deck in a high infinite, I played 20 games, and I had a 65% win rate. Let's check it out. Now, this is the list, and I will say that Cannonball is a little bit of a garnish on this deck rather than the main course, although he is particularly good at winning lanes in a way that otherwise would likely be reserved for cards like Eliath once you have a Professor X down. This is a deck that I found on untapped.gg just looking around for high Evo decks and noticed that it was actually doing pretty well in top 10% infinite. I also know that Owl God, the Korean player, has been playing something fairly similar. I believe he is a couple of cards off of this, and I know that people have been playing this shell with Pixie and no Cannonball for a little bit now. So it is something of a deck that has some pedigree. It's not just, oh, the Cannonball makes this good. This is already a deck that kind of does good things and can play reasonable games of Marvel Snap into a lot of different decks. Now, part of why I like this deck right now specifically is because it's generally unexpected and it still leverages Professor X. Even though people are playing War Machine, most people have figured out that it's not actually all that, and you are still going to be able to play a solid Professor X game in most of your games. When they are playing War Machine, yeah, you know, that kind of sucks. Don't invest in Professor X against decks that you think might have a War Machine in it. But overall, this was a very solid experience for me. One of the other things this deck really gets to leverage is the She-Not endgame based on having Hope Summers, and Cannonball is actually a pretty key part of your backup plan to that. Now, when you have Hope Summers and you play a card into Hope Summers on turn 4, you can skip turn 5 and play your Hulk and your She-Not. But when you don't pull that off and you skip turn 5, your She-Hulk will cost 1 energy. Jesus, how did I mess that up? Yeah, your She-Hulk will cost 1 energy. And when it costs 1 energy, you need another lane winner to play alongside it, and Cannonball is that lane winner. Now, this doesn't come up too much. You have a lot of ways to get around that. You don't always have the She-Hulk in hand to soak for. Yeah, you know, that happens, right? But having Cannonball in here as a lane-winning 5-drop does matter and is good. Now, as far as the way the rest of the deck plays, it plays like a typical high evolutionary deck, and you are sort of priced in to running not only armor, but also Professor X in an effort to protect your 1-drops from Killmonger. Your 1-drops are very powerful in this deck. They're going to be providing upwards of 5 points of power most games you play them on 1, and that is a strong thing to do. They also synergize with your game plan because they gain those points of power whether or not you are actually playing cards behind them. That's usually a really good thing to do in high evolutionary decks. Now, this deck also likes to leverage high evolutionary Cyclops, which is effectively going to be a 3 or a 4 cost, depending on how you think about skipping energy, that is very, very, very large for its size. This card is extremely powerful right now because of the lack of Luke Cage, and that allows you to have lane-winning threats in a variety of different situations, and also play game-ending threats like Hulk, like She-Hulk, and like Cannonball on top of those cards. Sunspot is the best 1-drop in this entire deck. Not only are you a high evolutionary deck that is very much attempting to skip 1 or 2 energy on most turns, you are also a She-Hulk deck with Hope Summers. You're actually trying to skip probably about a minimum of 6 or 7 energy per game, which means Sunspot is going to be the best possible way for you to make up for that but lost potential. This guy gets very large. Anywhere from 5 to 10 is not uncommon, and he is easily the best card to have in your opening hand. Nebula is a very good 1-drop that is a good card to play in a Professor X deck because it obviously will get some extra power out of that. It helps to dictate how your opponents have to play the game. And because of the way this card ends up working, it ends up being a very real and present threat to a lot of what your opponents are doing. Either it's luring them to play into that lane so you can then slap a Cyclops in that lane, or it's going to get very large and then you can slap a Professor X in that lane. That's how Nebula plays. High Evo Misty Knight is a solid 1-drop, likely not the worst of them though, because at least High Evo Misty Knight, unlike Nebula, works with your skip turns in a way that your opponent can't interact with as easily. One issue that I do have with High Evo Misty Knight is that you very often want to play her in a lane that is not the Nebula lane and not the Sunspot lane. This is a problem. Why is this a problem? because you are playing armor and you want to be able to armor all your one drops so they don't get Killmongered. You also want to sometimes be using armor offensively because a lot of the decks running Killmonger are decks like Deadpool, and you want to be able to armor their stuff and prevent them from snowballing. So your one drop placement really does matter, and the fact that this card very often wants to be on a different lane from the Sunspot is a little bit of a downside. In a perfect world, I do not think we would have to run armor. In a perfect world, I would be playing Wasp here. But as is, there's a ton of Destroy in the metagame, and I think that armor is a card that not only protects you from Destroy, but gives you a lot of upside in the matchup that otherwise would not exist if you were just playing your typical Wasp game plan. This card can actually just win games against Destroy when you hit it in the right spots, and that is a good thing to have in your arsenal. This card could also be Kyera, but I do like that she costs 2 instead of 3. Jeff is another card I almost want to be Wasp, but his synergy with Professor X is too good to ignore. Professor X is very important to the Cannonball side of this deck. Locking down a Professor X lane means that your Cannonball cannot move stuff into that lane. And being unable to move stuff into that lane means it'll always go to the other lane, and if that lane is filled up, that thing will always die. And that's kind of what you're playing for with Cannonball. I think it would be fair to say that High Evolutionary Cyclops is either the best or the second best High Evolutionary card. A 3/4 that starts dinging all the cards your opponent plays in the lane. Ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. You hit them with the lasers, they get smaller, and Cyclops ends up, of course, being great in those games where you end up skipping energy, which is most of your games, because that's kind of what the deck is built to do. So this guy ends up being, a free extra 2 points every time you skip energy. Misty Knight's an extra point every time you skip energy. Sunspot's an extra point every time you skip energy. Suddenly, when you skip energy, you're getting it at a rate of about 4 points per energy. That's a great rate. Hope Summers is why this deck can still exist. I tend to look at this deck as a fixed She-Not deck, right? This is what She-Not should have been the whole time. And the reason it can do that is because of Hope Summers and, to a lesser extent, Cannonball. Hope Summers allows you to access the She-Not final turn without the Infinaut. You have your Hulk instead. You do lose a little bit there, but it allows you to access Hulk plus She-Hulk on the final turn of the game. As long as you played something into Hope Summers on turn 4, you will have 6 energy on turn 5. You can skip that entire turn. It all goes into your Sunspot. You also get procs off your other stuff, and your She-Hulk will end up costing 0. That's really damn good. And Hope Summers is what makes this deck work without cards like Magic or Old Leech. This is the card that allows this deck to exist. She's excellent here and extremely powerful. If you have not picked up the Battle Pass, this is just one of many good Hope Summers decks. This is a good month to get the Battle Pass. That's all I'm going to say. This is a High Evolutionary deck, and unfortunately that means we have to play the card High Evolutionary, which honestly does kind of suck because I think there are so many ways in which this card has sort of been power crept. Which is to say, like, cards like Cyclops and Misty Knight used to be, like, very far ahead of the competition, and now they're, like, maybe a little bit ahead of their competition, or even roughly equivalent to their competition. And so the fact that you are using a spot in this deck on High Evolutionary is bad, and does really hurt you. That's a meaningful cost that you're paying, and I kind of wonder, like, man, I really wish that didn't have to be the case, because this guy is an actual downside. He is his own downside here. I talked about Prof a little bit in the Jeff section because Jeff is mostly here because good with Prof, good with Hope, that's kind of it. A lot of this deck's power does come from Professor X, and it's weird because typically I have not liked Professor X in these shells. Like, it has been second fiddle to, like, old Spider-Man. I haven't liked it in High Evolutionary decks, and part of why it's good now specifically is Cannonball. Being able to guarantee where something will or will not go, being able to set up a lane that has been won by Professor X and then know that you're going to win another one with Cannonball, like, it's kind of like mini Alioth, honestly. And Professor X setting that up is very much key to Cannonball being good. So I realize mini Alioth is like kind of it's a big claim to make. But since this deck is so often going to be behind in terms of priority, I actually think it's better than Alioth in this deck because of the amount of skipping you end up doing. You are going to be behind a decent amount of time on turn 6, and you're going to need to play like Cannonball She-Hulk, and you're going to need to be able to say, I know I win this lane because I spent turn 5 Professor Xing to win another one. I need something that absolutely wins here, and Cannonball really gets that done. This card is, I would say, not necessarily like all that much better than, just running a stat stick here, but the major upside is that you get to, like, if you Professor X'd, you get to just play this guy and feel safe. If you didn't Professor X, you likely skipped, and you skipped into She-Hulk and Cannonball, which can just as easily win you lanes. And that kind of stuff is also damn good. And I think the fact that he goes with both of those game plans is what makes him palatable in this list. She-Hulk is everyone's favorite jacked mommy, and she is here to ruin your opponent's life and cost 0 as much as possible. Now, this does mean that you have a reasonable weakness to Mobius M. Mobius. That's a fact. Can't get around it. Just true. However, for that reason, you're going to end up trying to play her a little bit more aggressively in matchups where Mobius exists. You're going to, skip turn 3, play her on 4 kind of thing a decent amount of the time, unless they Mobius on 3. A lot of people are not going to, run it out there immediately. They're going to think, oh, I can save that for later. It's a She-Hulk deck. I got it. It's fine. I'll do it later. And you can get your She-Hulk out under the Mobius a decent amount of the time. That's a good thing to do when you can do it. This deck has a plausible matchup into a lot of different stuff thanks to just the flexibility and power of this card. It's very good when you're skipping energy, and planning out your turns in regards to having a She-Hulk in hand is quite important. High Evolutionary Hulk is a very large man, a certified unit, if you will, and generally is going to be anywhere from 12 to 18. I've gotten him to 20 one time in 20 games. It doesn't happen very often. But mostly he's just somewhere between 12 and 18, and that ends up being very good. Note that if you played into Hope Summers on your turn 5, High Evolutionary Hulk will proc on turn 6 with that extra energy, something to keep in mind. All right, y'all, I hope you enjoyed that look at High Evo Cannonball. I was pretty surprised by how this deck performed. I'm not going to lie. I was like, oh, okay, I'll just try this. I'll mess around. And then I just started climbing a little bit. And I was like, oh, okay, this deck's actually kind of good. Let's talk about it on my YouTube channel. Welcome to your behind the scenes of my process. That's actually pretty much how it works. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoy all of my content. Remember to like and subscribe. We are creeping up on 20,000 YouTube subscribers, which is so cool. I'm really excited to maybe hit that milestone. Hopefully this plea goes out to someone who's maybe been watching my stuff and, hasn't really hit that button. Hit that button. I want to feel good about the number of people that hit that button. This is important to me. Thank you so much. As always, I've been KM Best. We're going to jump into some gameplay. I'll see you in the next one. I was like, oh, I just win. That's cool. Surfer loses profits. Yeah, true. Where'd this deck come from? Untap.gg. Yo, get fucked, Zoo. Behold, something stupid. Oh, God. All right, hold on. I can't undo my end turn, no! Oh, I'm so dead. It's like a fucking destroyer or some shit. Oh, it's just their sunspot. All right, we're probably good. Rocket value, yeah. I mean, they're probably gonna leave, but... they left. Could be good in it instead of Infinite, but I'm already not playing Infinite. Kitty Pride. So which kitty are you? Which kitty are you? Loki kitty, I'm guessing, though? That's not helpful. Are you still Cannonball? It's kind of scary. Yeah, it is. It definitely is. Professor X is the other scary thing, though, so I played around them stealing Professor X and slamming it middle. That's what I was doing here. Prop left, not red. That's the thing, right? If I'm them, I'm like, I'm Professor X in the middle. I'm locking this shit off, right? That was sort of where my head was at. Guess not. Loki for 5. Okay. I mean, that could still be a Cannonball. Oh, shit. There's so much going on here. Oh, I just died. Okay, cool. Wait, go left. No! Wait, I just win? Ha! I predicted their Cannonball! I'm a genius, chat. I predicted, quote-unquote, their Cannonball. I mean, like, it is kind of what I would do, right? Is Cannonball. I predicted the Cannonball. I like drawing cards. I hope they don't like it more than me, though. That would suck. Yeah, he's like a 3K token card. If he were 3K, he'd be a slam dunk. That's exactly the kind of card he is, yeah. Well now. What do we think this is? One of these is a Mr. Fantastic, right? Yeah, like Mystique. Mystique and Maximus is plausible? Yeah, fuck. Ah, jeez. What about that one? Yeah, Blinky's in that one. What else am I gonna do, right? Some Zabu shit happening. Alright, we're just gonna try and not get, like, Sakar'd the fuck out of. Oh. Alright, shout out to this armor. Shout out to that Shadow King. Thank you, Shadow King. I'm happy you keep doing what you're doing, buddy. Oh! I'm fucked. Oh, I really hate that. Oh, I really hate that. Is the token bundle on New Verse worth? I have no idea. The Hulk is 18, we can add 21 to the middle, go to 23, but we lose if they put any power in. We might be dead. One way I suppose we could not be dead. 3, yes. 6, yes. Yes! We're not dead. We're alive. Imagine listening to KX. That's crazy. Chang, Killmonger, and Hammer. Well, that's 7 energy, so they can't do that. So, you know, there is that issue. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Accurate emote. You think $15 for 1/6 of a card is worth it? Fuck no. Oh, they had Zabu. Oh, well, we still beat that, though. That's the whole thing. We played to beat that. That's why we moved the Jeff over here. That was like the whole thing we were doing. You never know. You just never know. Weird, that. It's not a bot. It's a zoo gamer. Nothing wrong with being a zoo gamer. Nothing wrong with being a zoo gamer. What's my order here? I play one there, double hit. Next turn I can still play the Misty Knight and Soak. This gets me a slightly larger hold, please. This takes us to 7. The She-Hulk costs 1, the Hulk costs 6. One of those, yeah. I think I'm snapping here. That is really close, but not close enough. That is so close, and yet. Galactic. Did I just die, or did I just win? I have no idea. Literally, I have absolutely no idea. Okay. Boy is about to She-Hulk a Krakoa, I think. Of course, with my luck, it's going to come down on the profit. Or on the hull. Oh, Jesus. That was bad. God. Oh, shit. Oh, God. Okay, I mean... I'm a little scared. How are they planning on winning this? They cannonball mid. No cryo, it's GG. Don't I die to cannonball mid? Am I stupid or am I just dead to that? I feel like I am dead to that. I don't know. Okay. I lived! Holy shit, that is the... Where's the I lived bitch meme? Oh my god.